Let's talk about magic. Not the fun kind with rabbits and hats, but the far more impressive and, frankly, terrifying kind where billionaires make entire fortunes disappear. While you were arguing with your uncle on Facebook about a politician's terrible haircut or getting riled up by the latest cable news shouting match, something else was happening. Something quiet, something insidious. A grand financial magic show has been performing to a sold-out, invisible crowd, and the price of admission was, unfortunately, your financial security. The entire spectacle is designed to keep your eyes on the stage, on the loud bangs and flashy lights of manufactured outrage and political theater, so you don't notice the stagehands quietly looting the entire auditorium, including the wallet in your back pocket. It's the oldest trick in the book, a masterclass in misdirection. The modern news cycle is an absolute fire hose of distraction, an all-you-can-eat buffet of things to be angry about. And that is not an accident. It's a feature, not a bug. Every second you spend fuming about a celebrity's tweet or a minor political gaffe is a second you're not thinking about the colossal systemic rot happening just beneath the surface. It's like a homeowner being fixated on a single leaky faucet while the entire foundation of their house is being methodically eaten away by termites in bespoke diamond-encrusted suits. They want you overwhelmed. They want you exhausted. An informed and focused public is the single greatest threat to those who profit from the shadows. So the best defense is to simply drown everyone in noise until they can no longer tell what's important. Think about it. The stories that dominate our screens are almost always emotionally charged, but ultimately low stakes for the grand scheme of things. They are designed to provoke a reaction, to make you pick a team and fight. Meanwhile, the truly monumental stories, the ones about deregulation, tax loopholes the size of Delaware, and the silent transfer of wealth, are presented as boring. They are deliberately coated in a thick layer of jargon and complexity, designed to make your eyes glaze over. Hedge funds, derivatives, special purpose vehicles. It's financial Ambien. They know that if they make it sound as dull as a municipal zoning ordinance meeting, you'll just switch the channel, leaving them free to continue their work undisturbed. And that is the heart of the illusion. It's not just that they distract you with shiny objects. It's that they've convinced you that the real issues are too complicated for you to understand. They've gatekept the knowledge. They've created a system so opaque, so deliberately convoluted, that the average person feels powerless even to ask the right questions. But here's the secret. It's not actually that complicated. It's just robbery with extra steps and better lawyers. They've built a fortress of boredom and complexity to protect a very simple, very old crime, taking what isn't theirs and making sure you're looking the other way while they do it. The trick isn't the magic itself, it's convincing the audience they're too stupid to see how it's done. So how does this grand disappearing act actually work? Let's start with the classics, the old-school methods that have been perfected over decades. Imagine you have a truly staggering amount of money. More money than you could ever reasonably spend. You could, of course, pay your fair share of taxes on it, which would help fund things like, roads, schools, and hospitals. But why do that when you can play a fun game called international hide-and-seek? The first step is to create something called a shell company. It's a company that exists only on paper. It doesn't make anything. It doesn't sell anything. Its entire purpose is to be a ghost, a legal fiction designed to hold your money in a place where no one can find it. These shell companies are often registered in places known as tax havens. Think sunny islands with beautiful beaches and, more importantly, banking laws so secretive they make the Knights Templar look like an open book. Places like the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, or Switzerland. A single, unassuming building in the Cayman Islands can be the registered headquarters for thousands of these phantom companies. You pay a local law firm a small fee, and poof! You have a legitimate-looking corporate entity. Now you can move your money from your home country into this shell company, and legally, it's no longer your money. It belongs to Global Mega Holdings, Inc., which just so happens to be a company you secretly control. This isn't just for a few shady individuals. We're talking about a massive global industry. The world's biggest corporations do this all the time. They'll use a technique called transfer pricing. It sounds complicated, but it's shockingly simple. Let's say a giant tech company designs a phone in California. The United States has corporate taxes, but Ireland has very, very low corporate taxes. So, the United States parent company sells the intellectual property, the patent for the phone, to its own subsidiary in Ireland for an absurdly low price. Then, the profits from every phone sold worldwide are routed to the Irish company, where they are barely taxed. It's a perfectly legal accounting trick that siphons billions of dollars in taxable income out of countries that desperately need it. And this has been the status quo for years. A sophisticated global network of lawyers, accountants, and bankers exists solely to facilitate this movement. They've created a parallel financial universe with its own rules, accessible only to the ultra-wealthy and the powerful. It's a system that allows them to opt out of the social contract that the rest of us are forced to abide by. While you are meticulously saving receipts for your tax deductions on office supplies, they are moving sums larger than the entire GDP of a small country through a series of legal loopholes so vast and well-established that they form a superhighway for tax avoidance. It's a shell game played on a global scale, and the P is your nation's tax base. Just when you thought the shell game couldn't get any more brazen, along came the internet and its wild, chaotic child cryptocurrency. Now, for some, crypto represents the future of finance, a decentralized utopia free from government control. And for others, particularly those with vast sums of money they'd rather keep private, it represents the most powerful laundry machine ever invented. If offshore accounts were about hiding money behind legal walls, crypto is about making it vanish into thin air, cloaked in the impenetrable jargon of blockchain technology. It's the old trick of a Swiss bank account, but supercharged for the digital age, with no pesky bankers to ask inconvenient questions. Here's the simple version, and please, crypto enthusiasts, don't write in. For the purposes of hiding wealth, the key feature of many cryptocurrencies is anonymity, or at least pseudonymity. You can move millions of dollars from one digital wallet to another, across borders, in minutes, without ever attaching your real name to the transaction. The transaction is recorded on a public ledger, the blockchain, but it's just a string of letters and numbers. It's like sending a suitcase full of cash via a magic pneumatic tube that operates outside the global banking system. There are no reporting requirements, no red flags raised at the bank, no paper trail leading back to you unless you make a mistake. This has created a whole new frontier for financial secrecy. You can have illicit funds in one country, convert them to a cryptocurrency like Monero, which is specifically designed for privacy, and then move them to a digital wallet anywhere in the world. From there, you can slowly cash them out in a different country, or use them to buy other assets, like digital art in the form of NFTs, which is its own can of bewildering worms. This process, known as mixing or tumbling, jumbles your crypto with that of thousands of other users, making it nearly impossible to trace the original source of the funds. It's the digital equivalent of taking a bag of marked bills and tossing it into a giant cement mixer with everyone else's money. The scariest part is the speed and scale. What used to require a team of expensive lawyers and a trip to Panama can now be done from a laptop in a coffee shop. This isn't just for tax evasion anymore. It's a tool for kleptocrats, oligarchs, and criminals to spirit away stolen national assets before anyone even knows they're gone. When a country is destabilized, the first thing to flee isn't just the people, it's the money. And now, that money can be moved instantly and invisibly, leaving an entire population to deal with the economic collapse, while the architects of that collapse are sipping cocktails, their digital fortunes safely tucked away in the ether. It's a silent digital bank run on entire nations. Alright, so a bunch of rich people and corporations are playing hide and seek with their money. Why should you, a normal person just trying to afford groceries that now cost as much as a small car, actually care? The answer is simple. Because their hidden game directly and profoundly impacts your life. It's not an abstract problem, it's a leaky pipe that's draining the swimming pool you're trying to stay afloat in. Every single dollar they hide in a tax haven or convert into untraceable crypto is a dollar that is not circulating in the real economy. It's a dollar that is not being used to pay for teachers, firefighters, roads, or healthcare. Think of the national budget as a giant pie. Taxes are the ingredients. When a huge slice of the potential ingredients is deliberately withheld by the wealthiest players, the pie gets smaller for everyone else. To make up for the shortfall, governments have two choices. They can cut services, which means your local library closes, the potholes on your street become craters, and emergency response times get longer. Or they can raise taxes on everyone else. That's you. Your tax burden increases to compensate for the fact that multinational corporations and billionaires are contributing next to nothing. You are, in effect, subsidizing their tax avoidance. You are paying for their freedom from responsibility. But it gets worse. Let's talk about inflation, that magical force that makes the money in your savings account worth less every single day. When governments are starved for tax revenue but still need to pay their bills, they often resort to another solution: printing more money. It's a short-term fix, but adding more money to the system without a corresponding increase in goods and services devalues the currency itself. Each dollar becomes worth a little bit less. So while the super rich have their wealth parked in offshore assets, fine art, or inflation-proof digital currencies, your savings, held in good old-fashioned dollars, are losing their purchasing power. They've escaped the consequences, leaving you to bear the full brunt of the devalued currency. This creates a vicious cycle. As the value of your money declines, the cost of living goes up. Gas, food, housing, everything becomes more expensive. Your wages, if they rise at all, rarely keep pace. You're working just as hard, if not harder, but you find yourself falling further and further behind. This isn't a natural economic phenomenon. It is a direct consequence of a system that has been rigged. The financial pressure you feel, the anxiety of looking at your bank account at the end of the month, is the ripple effect of a stone cast in a secret, faraway lagoon. Their hidden wealth isn't just hidden. It's actively eroding the foundation of your economic life. Beyond the direct financial hit, there is a deeper, more corrosive damage being done: the complete and utter annihilation of trust. Society, at its core, is held together by a shared belief that we are all, more or less, playing by the same set of rules. You stop at a red light because you trust that the person coming the other way will also stop at their red light. The financial system is supposed to work the same way. You pay your taxes, you follow the law, and you trust that everyone else is doing the same, especially those with the most to give. But what happens when you see time and time again that there is one set of rules for you and a completely different optional set of rules for the powerful? The system begins to look like a joke, a very bad, very unfunny joke. When the public learns of yet another massive leak of financial documents, the Panama Papers, the Pandora Papers, revealing the intricate tax-dodging schemes of the global elite, it sends a clear message: the game is rigged. It fosters a deep and abiding cynicism. Why should you painstakingly report your meager freelance income when a multinational corporation with billions in profits can legally pay a lower tax rate than its own janitor? Why should you have faith in a system that prosecutes a teenager for stealing a candy bar, but gives the CEO who launders billions a bonus and a golden parachute? This erosion of trust has devastating consequences for democracy itself. When people believe the system is fundamentally unfair, they start to check out. They lose faith not just in financial institutions, but in government, in the media, in the very idea of a collective society. This creates a fertile ground for extremism and demagoguery. Populist leaders can rise to power by pointing to the rigged system, and while they are often correct in their diagnosis of the problem, their proposed solutions can be even more dangerous, dismantling democratic norms and institutions in the name of draining the swamp, while often leaving the underlying financial corruption completely untouched. Ultimately, a society cannot function without trust. It is the invisible glue that binds us together. When that glue dissolves, things fall apart. The sense of shared sacrifice, of being in it together, evaporates. It is replaced by an every man for himself mentality, a cynical free-for-all where the only rational thing to do is to look out for number one, because you know the people at the top are certainly doing just that. This trust deficit is perhaps the most profound theft of all. They are not just hiding their money, they are stealing our faith in the possibility of a fair and just society. It's tempting to view this entire mess as just being about economics. It's about dollars and cents, taxes, and inflation. But that would be missing the point entirely. This is not just about money. This is about power. This is about freedom. The silent, systematic hoarding of wealth is fundamentally reshaping our societies and determining the kind of future we and our children will live in. When a tiny fraction of the population controls a vast and growing share of the world's resources, they don't just buy yachts and private islands. They buy influence. They buy politicians. They buy media outlets. And they buy an outsized say in the rules that govern all of our lives. This concentration of wealth and power is fundamentally anti-democratic. A functioning democracy depends on the principle of one person, one vote. But when a handful of billionaires can pour unlimited, untraceable dark money into political campaigns, that principle becomes a farce. They can fund candidates who promise to cut their taxes even further, to deregulate their industries, and to look the other way as they continue to exploit the system. Your vote ends up competing with $1 billion check, and it's not a fair fight. The political agenda ceases to be about the public good and instead becomes a wish list for the donor class, further rigging the game in their favor. Think about what this means for the major challenges we face. Climate change, for instance. Tackling it requires massive, coordinated global action and significant investment in new technologies. But what happens when the fossil fuel industry, one of the wealthiest and most powerful on Earth, can use its vast resources to fund disinformation campaigns, lobby against green legislation, and protect its profits at all costs? Progress stalls. The planet burns. The freedom to live on a healthy, sustainable Earth is sacrificed for the quarterly earnings report of a few powerful corporations. Their hoarded wealth actively prevents us from solving our most existential problems. Ultimately, what is at stake is your personal freedom. Freedom isn't just an abstract concept. It's the ability to make choices about your own life. It's the freedom to pursue a career you love without being crippled by debt. It's the freedom to receive medical care without fear of bankruptcy. It's the freedom to have a secure retirement and to believe that your children will have more opportunities than you did. Each of these freedoms is diminished when the economic system is so profoundly unbalanced. A society where all the wealth flows to the top is a society of diminishing opportunity and shrinking horizons for everyone else. This isn't just about their bank accounts, it's about the ceiling they are building over your future. So here we are. The situation is, and this is the technical term for it, completely bananas. It's a global system of financial extraction, hidden in plain sight, protected by complexity, and enabled by our distraction. It can feel overwhelming, hopeless even. It's easy to look at the scale of the problem and think, what can I possibly do? I'm just one person. And that, right there, is exactly what they are counting on. They want you to feel small. They want you to feel powerless. They want you to shrug your shoulders, sigh, and go back to scrolling through cat videos. Because your apathy is the final ingredient that makes their recipe for endless enrichment a success. But you are not powerless. The first and most important step is to simply pay attention. Start reading past the headlines. When you see a story about a corporate merger or a new tax law, ask the simple question, cui bono? Who benefits? Follow the money. Talk about these issues with your friends and family. Drag these uncomfortable, boring topics out of the shadows and into the light of everyday conversation. The moment these schemes can no longer rely on secrecy and public indifference is the moment they begin to lose their power. Sunlight, as they say, is the best disinfectant, and right now the system could use a full-blown industrial power washing. Then, demand more. Demand it from your politicians. Don't let them get away with vague promises. Ask them for specific plans on how they will close tax loopholes, increase transparency in financial markets, and crack down on offshore havens. Support journalism that does deep investigative work into these complex financial systems. Support organizations that are fighting for tax fairness and corporate accountability. This isn't a partisan issue of left versus right. It's a fundamental issue of fair versus unfair, of a functional society versus a kleptocratic free-for-all. It's about reclaiming the basic principle that everyone, no matter how wealthy or powerful, should play by the same rules and contribute their fair share. This is the wake-up call. The alarm has been ringing for a long time, but most of us have been hitting the snooze button. It's time to get up. It's time to get angry, but more importantly, it's time to get smart and get engaged. The future doesn't have to be a two-tiered system where the rich get richer and you lose everything. A fairer, more transparent, and more just world is possible, but it is not going to be given to us. It has to be demanded. It has to be fought for. The silence has been their greatest weapon. It's time we got loud. Very, very loud. Shasha 2025